A rich girl handed me a love letter, and her childhood friend sneered in my ear. "You, who wears a school uniform all year round, you didn't really take a love letter seriously, did you?" The snacks she bought yesterday were imported, and one bite would eat up your month's worth of US dollar lunch money. I still believed it a little, until the teddy bear I had carefully prepared was casually thrown to the ground by Sophia. "Ethan, if you hadn't prepared a gift, you could have just told me in advance. No need to fool me with trash." The trash she referred to took me a month to save up for in US dollars. Back home, my raging mother made me understand. Youthful flirtations could never compare to family. Later, I moved to a new city to treat my mother. 5 years passed, but I never expected that Sophia still couldn't forget me. During the afternoon break, class heartthrob Dylan was celebrating Sophia's birthday in class. He opened a locker in the hallway with people in tow without my permission. When I came back, the contents of the locker were scattered all over the floor, especially the teddy bear I'd saved up for a month to buy for Sophia. Its stuffing had been trampled out. Dylan waved at me enthusiastically. "Ethan, it's Sophia's birthday. You surely prepared a very special gift." A hint of expectation appeared in Sophia's eyes. Dylan was Sophia's childhood playmate, the brother who grew up with her. In Sophia's words, Dylan was a shield, someone who wouldn't be suspected by teachers or parents. But I couldn't join their conversation at all, like a perfectly normal mute. "Why aren't you saying anything? Are you embarrassed to take it out in front of everyone? We can wait and bring it up later." I knew he was targeting me. The higher Sophia's expectations, the more cheap my gift seemed. All the classmates' gazes converged on me. I clenched my fists. Sophia stared at my awkwardness and kicked away the annoying teddy bear. "Ethan, if you didn't prepare a gift, just say so. I don't really care that much." My lack of response was taken as agreement with her words. Sophia forced a smile while Dylan took a neatly wrapped gift out of his bag. "Sophia, I bought you the authentic teddy bear you've been raving about all last month. You like it, right?" Dylan didn't glance at me, invisibly shattering my pride. "Thank you, Dylan." Sophia's eyes glistened with tears. After she accepted happily, she commented offhandedly, "You have more conscience than some people." The riddle-like words were nonetheless obvious. My classmates looked at me with extra mockery, every sentence lodged in my chest, making it hard to breathe. "Ah, Sophia says the class monitor has no conscience." Sophia's father is the head of the Taylor family business, a successful businessman, and he treats Ethan so well, yet he didn't even buy him a single gift. The whole class knows her birthday. How could the class monitor not know? I guess he's just stingy with spending dollars, used to taking advantage of others. Dylan and Sophia are a proper match of comparable family backgrounds. Ethan's family is not well off, and I heard his mother is ill. Suspicious words were like spears, each one striking my heart precisely, painful and intense. Just because of Sophia's words, my classmates labeled me as a heartless person. Afraid the teacher would come, the students cleared a pile of trash off the floor. The atmosphere had a strangely harmonious feel. Sophia kicked the teddy bear into the basket. I stood frozen, not knowing what to do. Sophia took the initiative to start a conversation with Dylan. Their occasional laughter grated on my nerves. Was she punishing me by ignoring me? I looked up at the time and happened to meet Sophia's eyes. Those eyes revealed contempt without any attempt to hide it. I stood frozen in place, my classmates stifling laughs as they passed by me. Dylan walked past and whispered in my ear, "All the classmates know the gift you prepared is a bootleg bear. Do you think Sophia wouldn't know?" His trick was childish but effective, and my expression darkened. Dylan took the opportunity to clap his hands. "Right. Isn't our parents' meeting coming up soon? The class monitor should set an example for us and have their parent come to the meeting. Otherwise, why should anyone respect them?" I looked at him coldly. What necessary connection is there between the class monitor and having their parent host a parents' meeting? Let's vote by raising hands. Have the class monitor's mom run the parents' meeting. Doesn't everyone want to emulate the monitor? Let's see what kind of outstanding mother it takes to raise such an excellent student. Dylan steered the topic. "Dylan is right. Class monitor, call mom over. We want to see Annie too." My finger turned white where I pinched it. Mom is my bottom line. Dylan looked down on me, rubbing salt into my wound. My voice trembled slightly. My mom can't come, and she won't be able to come. But Dylan wouldn't let it go. He stroked his chin and pretended to think. My mom's so busy she still managed to come. Why should your mom get special treatment? She wouldn't be some kind of useless. He didn't finish the sentence, his gaze flicking toward the trash and holding the rubbish. My teddy bear lay there peacefully as well. Suddenly, my mind lost all reason and I sprang at him. The moment his pupils contracted, my fist struck his face. Because I had thrown the punch with too much force, we both almost lost our balance at the same time. After falling to the ground, I still kept pounding him with punch after punch. The classmates separated the two of us. Dylan, struggling to keep himself calm, hurled abuse at me. Your mother is crazy, and so are you. I panted heavily, glaring at him fiercely. I stumbled a few steps and was about to lunge at him again. Ethan, you're going too far. My strength instantly failed, and I stared at Sophia in complete shock. The other students were pointing and whispering about me. The class monitor can't hit people. No matter what Dylan said, the class monitor was the first to make a move. Sophia handed a tissue to Dylan, and the curve at the corner of his mouth flattened. He magnanimously said, "We're all classmates," and he wouldn't hold me accountable even if I made a mistake. I couldn't stand it, grabbed Dylan's arm, and was going to find a teacher to get justice. The hallway camera can show who forcibly opened my locker. I thought Dylan might be at least a little nervous, but his gaze was steady. "Ethan, are you done yet?" Sophia shouted. I was stunned. Sophia was unfamiliar to me. She had never lost her temper with me before. She seemed to think her tone was too harsh, took my hand, and softened her voice. "Don't be like that. Ethan, the majority rules." A suffocating surge of melancholy rose more violently in my chest. Why should the few have to submit to the many? I want to make dinner for my mom. Is it my fault I didn't watch the cabinet? Or is it my fault that my present was treated like trash? I'm going to check the surveillance. I'm not wrong. He hit me because his mouth was dirty first. I cook for my mom every day. Why is today any different? Mrs. Carter warned me to behave and fit in at school. If I don't prove myself, my classmates' suspicions will pile up like a mountain and suffocate me. Sophia's expression grew irritated. "Ethan, you're the one who hit him. Dylan didn't press charges, so consider yourself lucky. I didn't get angry when you forgot my birthday. So can't you at least say you were thinking of me and consider me on my birthday?" She looked me over. Our eyes met, and she said something I would never forget for the rest of my life. "A poor person shouldn't be poor in ambition. Ethan, you disappoint me so much." I felt struck by lightning. Something inside me extinguished. My thoughts pull me back to the day Sophia gave me the love letter. Dylan once said that Sophia and I are from different worlds. I pretended not to hear, but then I suddenly understood his words. Sophia, who was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, of course couldn't empathize with poor me. She couldn't understand why I wouldn't even buy her an authentic teddy bear. No matter how I defended myself, it would sound pale and powerless. She's right. She lives in a fairy tale. And in fairy tales, what could be more important than her birthday? My throat moved. I turned and slung on my backpack. Quietly, I went to the hall and tidied up my locker. Halfway through packing, I suddenly clenched my teeth. The stainless steel cup inside had been dented badly. It was given to me by my mother while she was still conscious. It was the gift I cherished most. I blankly wiped the dust off it, but it wouldn't be restored to how it was. Sophia followed behind me, casually approaching as if nothing had happened. "My family gives me a lot of pocket money, USD. Come to my place today to hang out. I bought lots of tasty things." She always thought anger would be temporary. Who would really ignore someone as cute as her? 10 minutes had already passed. I should make up with her. I slammed the cabinet door shut hard. The bang startled her. "Please, can you stay away from me?" I walk with purpose. The noisy hallway seems to have been muted in my ears. Dylan was right. There's a parent-teacher meeting coming up. I need to go explain things to the teacher. Sophia grabbed the hem of my clothes and ripped off my school uniform jacket. Do you have any manners? You left before finishing your sentence. At any other time, my tone with her would have been gentle, but now I didn't have an ounce of patience left. She had a faint quiver in her voice with a hint of crying. I prepared fried chicken for you. I don't care about gifts. As for you hitting Dylan, I was also ready to buy something to shut him up. Don't be so willful. I stopped in my tracks and looked intently at her slightly chubby, baby-faced features. Self-respect. How do you even open its mouth? My mother is my bottom line. I don't care about a position like class monitor, but no one can say a bad word about my mom. Sophia, I apologize for not giving you a good birthday. We are classmates, we are friends, but I am not your boyfriend. I didn't accept the love letter back then. You were the one who came to me. I never kept the things you bought me. You were the one who assumed things first. Go back to your fairy tale, will you? Stop bothering me. Sophia knitted her brows into a knot and put her hands down. What do you mean? Literally. I strode forward, hearing her call my name, each time weaker than the last. Neither of us felt we were in the wrong. After that day, I sold the family house, deleted all contact information, and moved to a new city. I never expected to see Sophia again in this life. Dylan didn't cause me any trouble. Students formed cliques, and I wasn't part of any of them. During the day, I told MS Hughes, as usual, that no one at home could attend the parent-teacher meeting. Ms. Hughes said she understood and even praised me for being excellent in both conduct and academics, saying she would explain on my behalf at the meeting. But the impact of my hitting someone in class was still spreading, and Ms. Hughes called me after I got home. My critics reached the parents. The parents contacted Ms. Hughes, and a chain reaction occurred. My class monitor position is hard to win people over. The deputy monitor is fighting for the best outcome for me. In the parents group, the parents didn't hesitate to criticize me. Ms. Hughes, the class monitor needs to be reelected. You can't just pity the student and make him monitor. Yeah, who knows if there's something fishy with his grades. The worse a student's family situation, the more likely they are to scheme elsewhere. The words they wrote were so cold. I instantly felt a sense of powerlessness. All my life, I never stayed for evening study at school. At night, I had to go do odd jobs. I don't ask for praise from others, yet the group's slanders kept coming wave after wave. Rumors are invisible blades. I curl my body into a ball and let out a soundless whimper. A pair of warm, large hands rest on my shoulders and the chill recedes. Mom held me quietly. Even though she couldn't speak complete sentences, she comforted me in her own way. She smiled simply and bobbed her head from side to side. I leaned against her shoulder and whispered, "Thank you, Mom." My discontent evaporated as well. My mom wasn't born crazy. When I was 10, my dad had a car accident and blood stained the scene. My mother was in the car at the time. The two of them were very affectionate. My father shielded my mother. To this day, reason tells me that my father couldn't protect my mother. She was just lucky. But she still gradually lost her sanity. Time passed, and she lived forever in that one day. At first, she would break things at home, as if reliving the painful memory of that day. Now, it seems she thinks about me. She stays calm at night, so I can get a peaceful sleep. She tried so hard for me. How could I bear anyone saying a bad word about her? Just as I was relieved that Mom's condition was becoming more stable, she reached her hand into the frying pan while I was frying eggs. She scooped the egg out and put it straight into her mouth, not caring whether it was burning hot. I was frightened and asked Ms. Hughes for leave. Mrs. Carter said she would help take care of her, but I can't trust outsiders 100%. I went to the hospital without telling her. Dr. Morgan was experienced. A regular hospital couldn't treat my mother's illness. She could only take some medication to keep herself calm. For your mother's condition, she should be taken to a psychiatric hospital. Putting aside whether I have dollars, psychiatric hospitals in Jing City don't have a good reputation. I'm afraid my mother would be harmed. Fortunately, my mother took the medicine and fell asleep in the ward. When I went out to buy lunch delivery, I ran into Dylan, who specifically waited for me. He saw me leaving the hospital, and I was afraid he would go back to school and spread rumors. I decisively grabbed his collar and questioned him. He has met my mother. But at the time my mom came with me to buy groceries, I thought the produce wasn't fresh, so I asked the shopkeeper to swap it for another. That day Sophia, unusually, walked home with Dylan. She saw it too. I didn't dare go out and watch Sophia from behind the shed. Dylan pointed at my mom and warned Sophia, "Stay away from people like that who are mentally ill. You might catch it." Sophia's beautiful eyes showed puzzlement. After watching for a moment, she asked in confusion, "Mental illness is not contagious." Dylan said disdainfully, "People like her, their children will have problems too. How to put it? Chickens come home to roost." My mom saw the matching school uniforms and even waved to the two of them. Sophia couldn't help but move away. "You're right." My mom's smile froze, as if she were wondering what she had done wrong. I didn't speak to Sophia for the rest of the week. I blinked, frowned, and asked Dylan, "What are you doing here?" Trying to save face. Dylan forced a smile and said, "You're overthinking it. I heard Annie's condition has worsened. The hospital can't cure her, right?" I scanned my surroundings warily, afraid a group might suddenly jump out and attack me. If that happened, I wouldn't be able to go back and take care of my mom. "None of your business?" Dylan said hypocritically, "Who in school doesn't know that the three of us are good friends? If Annie has any trouble, tell me. I'll help you figure something out." As he spoke, he handed me a piece of paper with a phone number and an address on it. "What do you mean by that?" "I don't think he'll be kind. Aunt's illness needs to be treated at a specialized facility. I happen to know a fairly authoritative psychiatrist. Their hospital has an effective special medicine. If you go there, Aunt will surely recover quickly. Unfortunately, it's quite far from our city. You'll need to make up your mind." Vehicles flowed without end, and passers-by glanced at us strangely. I gripped the note tightly, but my gaze never wavered. He tapped his chin and continued, "By the way, I told Sophia about your family. Do you want to know what she said? She said it's good you didn't agree to her. Otherwise, she'd be utterly humiliated in our circle." I was in a great mood. That's why I thought I'd give you a hand. My pupils constricted slightly, and my expression stiffened for a moment. "Are you blind?" Sorry. A man reeking of alcohol staggered along the roadside, nearly colliding with a speeding electric scooter. I was afraid my mom would run out too. At least the man knew to walk on the sidewalk. What if my mom ran into the middle of the road? The man's actions jolted me awake. To cure Mom, I no longer cared about giving up the past. The address on the note was in Beicheng, the city where my grandma lived, and I could go to her for refuge. I took the note without worry. "Thanks, I'm leaving today. Our matter is wiped clean." Dylan scoffed. "Whoever took you seriously? I'm doing you a favor. I did buy the ticket that day and had Mrs. Wilson help me find a realtor for the house. The transfer was handled with the help of Mrs. Wilson's son. After getting off the bus, I went straight to Grandma's house. Grandma didn't accept us. After Mom went crazy, I never saw her again. She tossed me some US dollars and shut the door. We stayed at a hotel. At dawn, I took my mom to see a doctor. After taking the hospital's special medicine, my mom's mental state was much better than before. I rented a small house, and with Grandma's US dollars, I wasn't tight on money. The house only sold after 6 months. That sum of dollars was enough to support my mother taking the special medicine. My mother underwent treatment day after day. Her condition improved, and she even had brief periods of clarity each day. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. I never expected to hear the name Sophia again, let alone to meet her. Just hearing her name, I could only think of the parents' group sneers, my classmates' collective condemnation, and her thinking I was making a mountain out of a molehill. By then, my internship at the company had ended, and interns were treating everyone to a meal at an upscale restaurant. I only went because Leo was hosting, so I wouldn't have to spend dollars. Free food, and you don't come? Eat more on my behalf. With just those few of them, I wouldn't bother treating. This place is full of children from rich families. You should broaden your horizons. Annie asked me to help you find a girlfriend. You know, maybe you'll fall in love at first sight at the banquet. Leo is a rich kid, a high school classmate of mine, who got into the same prestigious university as I did. In our freshman year, he drank too much fake foreign liquor, suffered alcohol poisoning, and was lying on the roadside. I climbed out the window, followed his route to find him, and took him to the hospital. The two of us became brothers who would die for each other. The restaurant staircase was built ostentatiously. I heard the largest and most expensive banquet hall had been reserved today. None of this had anything to do with me. Just like Leo said, getting a good meal for free is a pretty good deal. After eating, we walked outside. Many well-dressed men and women also came down from upstairs. I never envied other people's lives or backgrounds. I didn't even glance up to look. Ethan, I turned my head to look. Although he had matured a lot, and his features were much more defined, I still recognized him as Dylan at a glance. We hadn't seen each other in 5 years. He had almost been erased from my memory. What a small world. He finished his greeting and hurried down the stairs, afraid I would ignore him. The others' gazes followed Dylan's movements and fixed on me. Dylan sneered, "Long time no see, old squad leader." Exclamations rang out from the stairwell. "Old squad leader, Dylan, is this the old squad leader you mentioned? We're meeting the real person now. You only told half the story. Go on and tell us." I looked back at him. From his tone, I could tell Dylan hadn't said anything nice. He tried the same trick again, pretending to be puzzled. Dylan rubbed his chin, agitated, and said, "Our class monitor used to do well in school, but unfortunately he ended up with a crazy mom. His family is poor. He probably didn't even finish college, dropped out to work." He sneered at me. "Mrs. Wilson's son helped me with the withdrawal and used his connections to get me into the new school. Dylan thought it was normal that I hadn't gone to university. He wanted the embarrassed version of me from 5 years ago to reappear, and the scrutinizing looks from those around naturally arrived as expected. I was unhurried, which instead made him a bit anxious. Dylan kept glancing up the stairs from time to time. I suppose he only wanted to see me flee with my tail between my legs. Leo snapped and shoved Dylan. "Who the hell do you think you are, spouting crap the moment you open your mouth?" Dylan's expression tightened. "I'm just speaking the truth." Leo jeered. "Fine, you lot all decked out in gold and silver, using grades to talk down to people, huh? My brother and I graduated from a well-known university. The ones who studied abroad, shut up. Let me see what qualifications you lot have." Dylan's face flushed bright red. "You're lying. When would you have time to study?" Leo shrugged. "Don't believe me? Check the degree verification platform. You'll see you're a poor student. Where do you get off looking down on Ethan?" The group of rich kids on the stairs fell silent. Under the grilling, Dylan looked somewhat flustered. I smiled more brightly. "Still talking nonsense, huh?" Dylan's face was so sullen it looked like it could drip water. "If my mom is ill, it won't embarrass me. I can say it openly. Being poor isn't a crime. Did I eat your family's rice? You seem to have quite a reputation. 5 years ago, your childish behavior." I leaned toward his ear. "Want to spell it out for you?" He sucked in a cold breath. Dylan didn't dare speak, but I regretted wasting my time with him. The girl, dressed like a princess, arrived tardily. She lifted her skirt, exuding elegance. Dylan looked even worse than if he were crying. I turned my head as the sound of high heels clicked closer to me. "Let's go." Leo uttered an "oh" and followed in my footsteps. "Ethan." I paused briefly, then walked on, until someone hugged me from behind and then let go. "Ethan, today is my birthday. Let's go sing." "No need." My palm felt warm as Sophia took my hand. She calmed a bit and said evenly, "Ethan, you owe me an apology." "Let go." I answered without emotion, and she instinctively released her grip. "No." Leo's gaze darted back and forth between Sophia and me. "Buddy, what's going on with you?" Sophia ran up to me and softened her tone. "Ethan, it's going to rain soon. Let me walk you back." The sky was clear without a cloud, the sun blazing like fire. The excuse was a bit lame. Leo awkwardly stepped back a few paces. "You two talk." A few luxury cars were parked at the entrance, mostly sports cars. Sophia pointed at a Cullinan. "Driver Mr. Garcia is in the car. He could give you a ride on the way." I shook my head. "I have my own car." Sophia now stood graceful and tall, her dark hair like a waterfall, her fair little face serene and lovely. The gap between us had long since become a chasm. Just the dazzling clothes she wore were enough to make me hesitate. I walked to my Volkswagen, and as soon as I opened the door, she shut it. Sophia kept her head down and didn't let go of the handle. Her stubborn behavior didn't fit her identity. To be honest, I don't understand. A girl who insists I apologize at school, who enjoys the flattery of those around her, wants to declare in front of all these people that she doesn't want me to leave. Both of our hands are on the car door. Neither of us lets go. Sadly, the seeing other boys' envy only fills me with disgust. Let go. I yanked open the car door, and she recoiled in fright. A beat-up used car needs to be warmed up first. Sophia tapped the car window, mustering up the courage to speak. Ethan, you're my boyfriend. Boyfriend. The balance between romantic love and familial love was tipped long ago. Over all these years, it never returned to the scale. I rolled down the car window and looked her straight in the eye. Sophia, I never agreed to you back at school. In case you think my refusal wasn't blunt enough, I could say it 10,000 more times. Sophia's face went pale. She bit her lip in unwillingness. Dylan hurried over and stood in front of the car window. Sophia, your mother called me and told you to come home immediately. Sophia looked at me in a daze. A streak of dark humor crossed my mind, and I invited her in a dry, nonchalant tone. "Want to get in the car?" Dylan clutched his throat. Even with his back to me, his nervousness was plainly visible. Sophia stared at the passenger seat. She probably didn't even notice. In my own eyes, an unavoidable look of disdain was revealed. Just like back then. She hesitated, and a faint coolness came over my face. "Leo, get in the car." The car drove off in a long arc. Sophia remained unmoved. After 10 minutes on the road, Leo for once asked about my gossip. "Bro, no wonder you don't find a partner. You've already been with those rich heiresses? You're really not being fair." Leo misunderstood. He thought I was secretly in a relationship. "No, she's not my girlfriend." "Then what is your relationship?" "None of your business." "What the hell?" Leo saw I looked upset and unusually kept silent. He changed the subject. "Is that pretty boy not getting along with you? I'll find a way to deal with him later." I knew he was teasing me and replied jokingly, "Come on, you forgot last time you showed off. I was the one who drove to pick you up." "Then I'm not intervening. Today I stood up for you, so you owe me a meal at your place. And he's cooking his way better than my mom's." I knew he was trying to comfort me and smiled without saying anything. After dropping him off, I drove back to the shabby open-plan residential complex. I drove toward the public parking lot. The usually empty lot was filled with cars. The most conspicuous spot, the Cullinan I had just seen, was parked right there. The wind picked up. The 3-story tall willows swayed, stirring the turmoil in my heart. On second thought, it made sense. For a young miss, finding someone was a matter of course. Sophia changed into a set of casual clothes, trying to look as ordinary as possible. I watched her approach quietly. The pearl necklace at her throat was still eye-catching. Perhaps that sort of adornment had already become the most ordinary thing she could imagine. I'm not insecure. If you look up at someone for too long, your neck will get sore. She adjusted the micro-expressions on her face several times, a little shy, a little resistant. Children from poor families grow up early. I'm quite skilled at reading words and watching people's faces. Anything wrong? Sophia still hadn't moved on from the previous topic. "You say you're not my boyfriend. So am I chasing you now?" I lit a cigarette. She furrowed her brows and, surprised, said, "When did you learn to smoke?" "See, I'm not the person I used to be, and you're not who you used to be either. You came to my house to find me and say you want to court me. A wealthy heiress chasing a poor boy. Can you be more mature? Don't make me the joke of your circle." Sophia's chest heaved as she snatched the cigarette and threw it to the ground. "Take me to your house. I'll apologize to Auntie in person." My gaze was icy, staring at her fixedly. The strong wind blew, lifting her long hair. I lit another cigarette to calm myself. This time, she didn't snatch it away. One by one, elements overlapped with the past. I have to admit, the me back then lived very repressed. The burdens on a young man are too heavy. Going to school alone, going to work alone, cooking for my mother alone. I'm not being sentimental, but the things others find annoying are the things I once envied. Someone cooks the meals, someone supports me, someone attends parent-teacher meetings on my behalf, and the fantasy that my father is still around. Arriving in an unfamiliar city, my sense of inferiority was almost overflowing. Lost in class, I saw my mother walking alone on the road and having an accident. I dreamed that Sophia said we were good friends, that she was the best person for me. But the dream always ended the same way, with Sophia's look of disdain. That was when I learned to smoke, a brief escape. Later I adjusted. In my dreams, Sophia's face went from gradually blurred to forgotten. I really thought I was ready, but when she said she was going to pursue me, my heartbeat shamefully quickened a few beats. Stop interfering with my life? Okay. Consider it a favor I owe you. I'll repay you in my next life. Sophia opened her mouth, turned away, her body trembling like a sieve. I passed her and didn't look back. My body was shoved hard. Hold me one last time. After she finished speaking, she let go of me. I didn't relax until I got home. My mother was doing my laundry. Her hand stopped when she reached into the pocket. Son, whose bank card is this? My mother's episodes were short. She was lucid for more than half of each day. A gold bank card was in my mother's hand. Son, who put this card in your pocket? There's a string of numbers on the back of the card. You can tell at a glance this card is very high-end. I immediately knew what had happened. It's nothing, Mom. I know whose it is. I'll return it to her tomorrow. My mom wholeheartedly agreed. Yeah, we have enough dollars to live on, but we mustn't get any crooked ideas. After showering, my tiredness magnified infinitely. I collapsed in a bed and fell asleep as soon as I touched it. There was a faint, hazy smell of cooking lingering by my nose. I opened my eyes to find Leo comfortably eating a bowl of plain rice at the table. Wake up. I wondered how he came. I sent you messages on social media and you didn't reply. I thought something happened to you. Came to your place to see you. And while I was at it, I'm reclaiming the meal you owe me. My mom quite likes Leo. After all, what parent would dislike a child with a sweet tongue? He takes a bite and compliments, and my mom was smiling her fill. I slept for too long. It was already dinner time. After dinner, my mom asked me to walk Leo out. By the time we got to the parking lot, there was actually another girl in his car. You haven't met her yet, my girlfriend. The girl was named Chloe Reed. She was Leo's girlfriend, and I had heard him talk about her many times. Their parents lived in the same residential complex and were the same age. One thing led to another, and they started dating. Leo was afraid Chloe Reed would say the wrong thing, so he asked his girlfriend to wait in the car, which also showed they were close. Sophia was a classmate of Chloe Reed's in college. The world really is that small. I thought it was a good opportunity and handed her the card. Since you two are good friends, help me return her things to her. Ah, that wouldn't be right. Wow, so rich. Leo toyed with the bank card in his hand. He understands bank cards better than I do. Returning a gift in person shows more sincerity. Chloe Reed spoke tactfully, but I didn't respond. She assumed she'd help me, because Leo had already promised for her. They left, and I smoked in my car. During that time, I received a message from Leo on social media. Bro, do you want to know how many US dollars are inside? I replied, bored. He didn't give specific numbers. He sent 7 asterisks. Smoke curled, and the view outside the car window was slightly distorted. In the past, Sophia also liked giving me gifts. I signed up for the 100-meter event at the school track meet. She clumsily made up an excuse, saying she bought shoes that came with track spikes. I run quite fast. Maybe it really was because of the shoes. There's always a hesitation at the start. If you ask me, she's an idiot. How could the spike size fit my feet so perfectly? I didn't take Sophia's spikes, and I placed second in the 100-meter race. Drink some water. You won't be afraid of water, right? My whole body is full of lactic acid. I lean in the corner and gulp down the sports drink. Tired? Yeah. She didn't go cheer for anyone else. Casually, she sat cross-legged beside me. Voices roared in the distance, the setting sun staining half the sky red. I admired the relay race. She propped her chin in her hand and admired me. Sophia, what? What are you looking at me for? My stomach growled, and she took an energy bar out of her pocket. She wouldn't let me speak and shoved it into my mouth. The energy bar had been in her arms for a while and had melted. I won't listen. Eat it properly. Second place. The energy bar was so sweet it stuck in my teeth. She, while I wasn't paying attention, muttered softly again. You're the first place in my heart. After finishing the cigarette, I looked at myself in the rearview mirror. I warned myself that, after all, it was only fleeting smoke. I returned home. My mother had gone to sleep. She was afraid of having an attack, and sleeping always felt safer than being awake. I covered her with a quilt. Life couldn't be paused. I became a full-time employee at the company. At lunchtime, Leo went to meet Chloe Reed. I got a simple meal and went to a secluded corner to eat lunch. I hadn't eaten more than a few mouthfuls when a striking figure caught the boys' attention, and the girls couldn't help but stare. The tapping of high heels stopped in front of me. I hadn't swallowed the food in my mouth yet. The youthful Sophia and the Sophia before me became one and the same. The dollars in the card are for Auntie's medical treatment. Why wouldn't you take them? Her voice was hoarse, tinged with some lingering resentment. I always treated Dylan like a brother. Only when I grew up did I realize he was a hypocrite. At that time, I was taken care of too well. My family agreed to let me choose my own future partner. I didn't stop looking for you for 5 years, thinking that when I saw you again I would tell you all this, but I have grievances too. Can I throw a little tantrum when I see you? Ethan, can you stop avoiding me? I noticed everyone around was looking at me, so I took her up to the rooftop. I smoked in front of her again. I took a deep drag, paused, and said, my mom matters most to me. Even if you start distancing yourself from me, I'm not afraid. But I can't forget the disdain in your eyes. It was exactly the same as with the other classmates. Sophia grabbed the nearby handrail so hard the veins stood out. She had nothing to say. Dylan is certainly disgusting, but I can see clearly we're not the same. You treated me like a boyfriend only during adolescence. Ms. Hughes was still asking about you. I almost forgot to tell her I found you. Sophia interrupted me awkwardly. She fumbled around looking for her phone. My phone, however, rang. It was Leo calling. The call connects, and he's so frantic he can't speak clearly. Ethan, Annie was hit by a car on the road. My worst fear came true. My mom had a relapse and walked out into the street. I saw my mother at the hospital. One of her legs was suspended. Dr. Morgan said the leg was slightly fractured and nothing serious, but my mother is old and will recover slowly. My breathing grew louder as I trembled and grasped my mother's hand. I slapped my face hard. Son, Ethan, don't be like this. Auntie is fine. It wasn't until I went out to the hallway that I realized I'd lost my composure. The only blessing in misfortune was that it was a fracture. I smoked one cigarette after another in the stairwell. There was something fishy about the whole thing from start to finish. My mom said a car had accidentally lost control and headed straight toward her. In that moment, my mom remembered how my dad had died. When I returned to the ward, I saw Sophia patiently feeding my mom porridge. I asked the cook to specially prepare a nutritious meal for Annie. Sophia seemed to be claiming credit from me. I need to go home to get my mom's medication. She's coming back with me too, as a way of thanking her for helping to take care of her. This time, Sophia decisively sat in my passenger seat, her expression as usual. The pungent smell of disinfectant in the apartment corridor made her frown. The apartment I live in isn't big, 58 square meters, 2 small rooms. She looked around the room once and didn't make a sound. After we packed our things, I told her to go back. If anything comes up, call me anytime. I left my phone number with the caretaker. I answered in a way that was completely out of place. I won't call you. You've already seen the house. Let's part ways here. Sophia stared at me in a daze. She seemed as if her spirit had been taken away, yet she bravely said goodbye to me. I got a message on my phone. Leo had finished the investigation. Dylan is singing at the KTV, a business KTV. The luxury car parked at the entrance looked familiar. I kicked the private room door open. Only the original singer remained inside. Most of these people had been seen at the restaurant. After a brief pause, someone in the room voiced a question. Isn't this the one who had a relationship with Sophia that day? Why is he here? Who invited him? The moment I stepped into the room, I found Dylan in the corner. Ethan, he called my name in astonishment. Afterwards, he sneered. And he can't even walk, and you still have the heart to come sing. I casually picked up an empty bottle and smashed it. Terror covered his eyes. What the hell are you trying to do, you maniac? I punched him in the nose and laughed recklessly. I'm a maniac. Didn't you already know that? You mess with my mom. You force me to go crazy. I'll risk my life with you. His refined demeanor could no longer hold. The glass bottle was pressed against his clothes. When the people in the karaoke hall saw I had a weapon, none of them were foolish enough to try to be brave. I slapped him repeatedly, reducing his pride to nothing. You were always petty in school, stopping on my gifts until they were ruined and telling classmates my mother was crazy. I can endure my own grievances. He wasn't a match for me before, and he's even less so now. I grabbed his collar and dragged him along the ground by it. Dylan, I nearly snarled, extreme thoughts leaping through my mind. My mom has suffered too much. She can't take any harm. Push me any further, and it'll be one life for one life. Dylan nodded like chopping garlic in fright. Everything that happened today would be etched into his mind forever like bone-eating maggots. I was a bit skeptical at first, but he didn't offer a single rebuttal. Back then, I don't know how he discovered my mother's condition. 5 years later, Dylan showed up, and my mother almost lost her life. When Leo told me Dylan had appeared nearby, I felt certain inside. The rich kids from the same circle looked down on Dylan. They probably also despised such foul tactics. Who would have thought Dylan acted proper in public, but was filthy behind people's backs? Dylan often belittled the class monitor. It wasn't that the monitor was afraid and transferred schools. It was for leading and encouraging classmates back then. Still not letting him go after 5 years. That's murder. How disgusting. I actually thought he was an exemplary student when he was in school. A fierce discussion erupted inside the private room. When he gave off that malice, he probably didn't expect it to come back to hit him like a boomerang. I set down the wine bottle, and the wealthy sons in the private room looked at me with added admiration. Dylan covered his ears like someone stealing a bell, unwilling to face the truth. I stepped out of the private room. Someone quietly said a word behind me. Cheer up. Stepping out of the private room, my ears felt much clearer. I went straight to the hospital and bought dinner for my mom. I entered the ward and stood there dumbfounded for a few seconds. Sophia was chatting with my mom. My mom excitedly waved at me, as if she wanted to play matchmaker. Sophia's entire outfit of street market goods seemed to be going along with it. You should thank her. This isn't the first time Sophia has helped us. Doctors cure patients by borrowing other people's light. You're both being muddle-headed. Why didn't you at least give her your phone number? Sophia smiled and smiled, her expression bitter and puzzled. Who recommended the doctor? Sophia didn't resist sitting in my Volkswagen. The two of us had dinner at a local family-style restaurant. We ordered 2 of my usual, large, and good-value set meals. Sophia ate slowly, at odds with the restaurant. She kept praising how good the food was. No need to pretend. You make me uncomfortable like this. As she ate, her eyes filled with tears. She didn't wipe them, letting them fall. I handed her a napkin. Wipe it, don't cry. I'm not crying. The smoke is so strong it's making me tear up. A 10-second pause. I sighed deeply. Sophia, 5 years is enough to change a lot of things. Your kindness to me comes from an inner sense of guilt. No. Sophia said stubbornly, I'm not a child. I know what it feels like to like someone. I obey my family in everything, except when it comes to marriage. I stood up to them on that. You transferred schools, and I firmly believe we will meet again one day. You don't know that during all the important moments of these 5 years, I imagined you were still here. The day I really saw you, I felt so happy. You really aren't my boyfriend, yet I'm only devoted to you. Never changed. Dylan drove you away. I really don't know. Otherwise, I would never have. A pained expression flashed across Sophia's face. Then, as if suddenly awakened, did Dylan say something to trick you? Make you misunderstand? I paid the bill. Walking to the car, I stretched and asked, Sophia, did you really not know that the gift was prepared by me? You knew all along he was stirring up classmates against me. Wasn't it just that I didn't please you, and you wanted to fan the flames to punish me a bit? Anyway, I'm not actually going to turn on you. Sophia staggered as she walked. Perhaps she understood now that not every mistake can be fixed with an apology. The harm from someone close, forgiving, and enabling you cuts deeper. Sophia didn't speak. She just held my hand. I gently removed her hand and smiled as I asked her, Sophia, I'm an ordinary person. I can't bear your love. I only want to live out my life simply and quietly. Is that okay? Sophia cried until her makeup was ruined, more dazzling than the reddest maple leaves, yet I looked away. She hugged me, holding me so tight I could hardly breathe. Burying her head against my chest, she whispered in a voice like a mosquito. Okay. Sophia vanished without a trace. I went to work to earn dollars. Dylan didn't come to bother me. On Easter, my mom took me back to the old city to visit my father's grave. Son, I'm here to see you. I gave the room to my mom. She cried and laughed for half an hour. The illness was completely gone. On my birthday, a stranger's number sent me a text message. I have a gift for you. I knew it was her, so I didn't reply. Sophia and I really aren't in the same world. I deliberately changed my phone number, and she still managed to contact me. I even switched to an out-of-town number. Was our chance meeting really just an ordinary coincidence? Leo got married years ago and invited me to be his best man. After marrying Chloe Reed, he became especially strict. He even ended up using my mother as an excuse to go out and have fun. Leo told me once while fishing that Dylan didn't mess with me because the Taylor family business could decide the fate of the Parker family. The condition for Sophia to cooperate with the Parker family was to make Dylan unable to inherit the company, to turn him into an outsider. Perhaps it was to vent her anger. Or perhaps it was for me. On Christmas Eve itself, the neighborhood was especially lively. I stayed with my mom to set off the firecrackers, and at the door someone had left a neatly wrapped gift box. Inside was a greeting card that read Happy New Year. There was also a patched-up teddy bear, washed very clean. Son, who gave this? A friend. George, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? I put down my paintbrush and looked at my friend Frank. He stood at the studio door with a mysterious air, his face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Let's start with the bad news. After all, I've gotten used to it these past 3 years. Your painting, Eternity, just sold for a sky-high price. Over $6 million. I frowned. How is that bad news? Frank chuckled. Because it's actually part of the good news. The bad news is, buddy, you might need to see a psychiatrist. What do you mean? A woman who looks exactly like Mary showed up at your art exhibition. I almost thought I was seeing a ghost. The paintbrush slipped from my hand and fell to the floor, splattering paint across the unfinished canvas. Mary, my late wife, died 3 years ago after accidentally falling off a cliff. I watched with my own eyes as her body was pulled from the water. In that moment, my world completely collapsed. Stop joking around, Frank. Why would I lie to you? She even left this. Frank handed me a note with an address and a time written on it. My hand trembled slightly. The handwriting was exactly the same as Mary's. That night, I waited until midnight at the designated cafe. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Mary? No, it couldn't be her. But every gesture of that woman, from the tips of her hair to her fingertips, was a shadow of Mary. George, it's been a long time. She sat across from me, and the familiar voice nearly made my heart stop. Who are you? I struggled to remain calm. I'm Mary, your wife. She smiled and reached out her hand. There was a scar on her palm, the mark Mary got when she accidentally cut herself on glass at 15. Impossible. Mary is already dead. She laughed softly. That was just an accident. I fell off the cliff and was saved by a reclusive old doctor. I lost my memory from the injuries and only recently remembered everything. As she spoke, tears began to fall with an expression I knew all too well, the look Mary wore whenever she felt wronged. I know it's hard to believe, but I really am Mary. I couldn't believe my eyes. The shade of lipstick Mary loved most, the faint little mole beneath her left ear, the unconscious habit of rubbing her ring while speaking. Everything was so familiar. You? Are you really Mary? She nodded and took a small box out of her bag. This is the proof. Inside the box was the first piece of jewelry Mary ever designed. A sapphire ring, the only one of its kind, never mass-produced. I brought it with me that day because I wanted to surprise you. I suddenly stood up and pulled her into my arms. 3 years of longing surged over me like a tide. I held her tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear again. On the way home, she told me about her experiences over the past 3 years. She was rescued by an old doctor in the mountains, lost her memory due to a severe head injury, and lived in a remote mountain village for more than 2 years. It wasn't until she happened to see a poster for my art exhibition that her memory gradually returned. The next day, I took her to see Frank. "Oh my God, it really is you, Mary." Frank stared in astonishment, eyes wide. "Frank, it's been a long time." She greeted him with a smile, exactly as I remembered. Frank pulled me aside and whispered, "Man, this is unbelievable, but I really believe it's her. Who else but Mary could call me by my childhood nickname so accurately? That was something only the two of you knew." A week later, Mary officially returned. We held a small welcome party for her. Her mother was so overwhelmed that she fainted, and when she woke up, she clung to her daughter and refused to let go. But that night, I noticed the first sign that something was off. Mary never ate mangoes because she was severely allergic. Yet the returned Mary absent-mindedly tasted a mango dessert and was perfectly fine. "Aren't you allergic to mangoes?" I asked. She paused for a moment, then quickly laughed and said, "Oh, that old Chinese doctor cured my allergy. He's really amazing." I nodded, but in my heart, I marked the first question mark. Is this really my wife? A month passed quickly, and Mary blended perfectly into our lives. She knew the location of every item in the house, remembered our shared memories, and could even accurately name friends we hadn't contacted in years. But those subtle feelings of discord kept growing. For example, the real Mary liked to listen to classical music, especially Debussy, while designing jewelry. But she would always unconsciously hum along to pop songs. Mary always habitually used her left hand to hold chopsticks, even though she knew it was wrong. She just couldn't change. But she was a standard right-handed user. The most obvious difference appeared that night when I accidentally caught her smoking in the bedroom. The real Mary hated the smell of smoke. Even when I came home from social events with a faint scent of cigarettes, she would frown. "When did you start smoking?" I stood at the doorway, my voice soft. She was clearly startled, hastily snuffing out the cigarette. This is a herbal cigarette for treating insomnia, prescribed by an old Chinese doctor." I nodded, not pressing further, but the doubts in my heart only grew deeper. The next day, I went to find Frank. "Help me check if, in the past 3 years, plastic surgery technology has advanced enough to achieve this level." Frank's eyes widened. "You mean, she's not Mary?" "I'm not sure, but there are always some things that don't add up." 2 days later, Frank brought news. High-end plastic surgery can make faces look similar, but it can't replicate the exact placement of scars or moles. And there's a limit to how well someone can imitate a voice. What if it was a twin? Frank shook his head. "Mary is an only child. We all know that." I decided not to show my feelings for now and to keep observing. A week later, Mary's mother came to my house with astonishing news. "George, Mary is going to have a baby," my mother-in-law told me excitedly. I stood there stunned. Before we got married, Mary had been diagnosed with uterine hypoplasia. The doctor had made it clear she could never get pregnant. This was our shared secret. Not even my mother-in-law knew. How do you know that?" I managed to ask. "Mary told me this morning. She said she already had a checkup. It's been 2 months." My mother-in-law happily grabbed my hand. "It's a blessing from above. Mary survived death, and now she can bring us new life." My heart sank to the bottom. This absolutely could not be Mary. That night, I dug out the hospital's diagnosis certificate in my study, which clearly stated the condition of Mary's uterus. But when I wanted to talk to Mary about it, I found her in the bedroom, excitedly discussing the decoration of the nursery with my mother-in-law. "Mary, could you come here for a moment?" I called her calmly. She followed me into the study, still wearing a blissful smile on her face. "Did you forget about this?" I handed her the diagnosis certificate. She took it and glanced at it, her face instantly turning pale. "George, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain that you're not Mary at all." Mother-in-law heard the commotion and walked in. "What's going on with you two?" "Mom, take a look at this." I handed her the proof. My mother-in-law read it, then looked at Mary in astonishment. "What's going on? Mary, you can't have children." "Of course she can," I sneered, "because she's not Mary at all." My mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. "What nonsense are you talking about? I can explain. She hurriedly grabbed my mother-in-law's hand. That old Chinese doctor not only saved my life, but also cured my uterine problem. It's a miracle, truly. My mother-in-law looked at me, then at her, hesitating. George, you're being too paranoid. My mother-in-law finally took her daughter's side. Mary has come back with great difficulty. You should cherish her, not doubt her. Yes, George, I know this is hard to accept, but miracles do happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. Haven't we always wanted a child? Now we can finally have our own baby. I looked at her face, identical to Mary's, yet I became more certain in my heart. This woman was not my wife. All right, I believe you. I smiled, deciding to go along with their story for now. Let's wait together for this miracle to happen. That night, I secretly contacted a private detective. My mother-in-law gladly accepted her daughter's explanation, even suggesting she move in with us to take care of Mary during her pregnancy. Outwardly, I agreed, but inside I grew even more wary. This was no coincidence. There had to be some kind of plot. Mom, haven't you always lived in Haicheng? Won't it be hard to get used to living here? I probed cautiously. For my grandson, I'm willing to endure any inconvenience, my mother-in-law said firmly. I noticed a fleeting unnatural expression on Mary's face. Could the truth be connected to my mother-in-law? On the third day after my mother-in-law moved in, I discovered more suspicious details. For example, the real Mary never drank coffee, but she and my mother-in-law often enjoyed it together. Also, Mary's favorite movie was Roman Holiday, but she claimed to prefer Titanic. The strangest thing is, Mary used to despise her cousin Tom when she was alive, but now he visits frequently and chats and laughs with Mary as if they're old friends. I told Frank about these discoveries. Buddy, things are getting more and more suspicious, Frank frowned. Are you sure you want to keep going like this? Why not just expose her directly? It's not the right time yet. I want to find out what they're really after. The private detective's investigation also made progress. The so-called old Chinese doctor who had saved Mary did not exist at all, and Mary's whereabouts over the past 3 years were completely untraceable. More importantly, the private detective uncovered a shocking fact during the investigation. Mary's cousin Tom was deeply in debt from gambling, and the painting Eternity under my name, worth over $6 million, was his only hope for quick cash. Thereafter your painting, the private detective asserted, and this fake Mary is likely a professional identity fraudster, hired to win your trust. I took a deep breath and decided to take the initiative. That afternoon, I pretended to go out, but secretly returned home and hid in the study. Sure enough, Mary and her cousin Tom were whispering to each other in the living room. It's taking too long, Tom said irritably. How much longer until he sells the painting? Don't worry, she soothed him. I'm already pregnant, and now he completely believes I'm Mary. In a little while, I'll say I want to move to a better neighborhood for the sake of the baby, and then we'll naturally need to sell the painting to raise money. You're really pregnant? That wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident, but it works to our advantage. George wants a child so badly. Does Annie know the truth? She only knows we're trying to scam money, not the specific plan. But she hates George, thinks he caused her daughter's death, so she's more than happy to help. I clenched my fists. So my mother-in-law had always believed that Mary's accident was somehow my fault. In fact, we did argue over something trivial that day, and Mary stormed out in anger. I didn't try to stop her. But I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her. You don't actually have feelings for George, do you? Tom suddenly asked. She was silent for a moment. It's just part of the job. Besides, I owe you, and I won't go back on my word. Good then. Don't forget how we're splitting the money once we get it. Their conversation confirmed my suspicions. This was all an elaborate scheme, with my eternity as the target. In the days that followed, I pretended everything was normal while secretly making preparations. I contacted the police, arranged for evidence-gathering equipment, and found the last piece Mary had left before she died, a silver necklace that had never been made public, engraved with an anniversary date only the two of us knew. 2 weeks later, my art exhibition was held as scheduled. As planned, Mary brought up the idea of moving, hinting that I could sell Eternity. I pretended to agree and said I would auction the painting on the last day of the exhibition. This is a surprise I prepared for you, I said on the eve of the exhibition, taking out a delicate box. To celebrate the new life we're about to begin. She opened the box in surprise, and inside was the silver necklace. It's beautiful, thank you. She smiled as she prepared to put it on. Wait, I stopped her. Aren't you going to look at the engraving on the back? She turned the necklace over, and her face suddenly went pale. What's wrong? Don't you like it? I asked, feigning ignorance. No, I really like it. It's just, I'm a bit moved. She forced a smile, but didn't know how to explain that she couldn't recognize the significance of that date. See you tomorrow. Get some good rest, and don't forget to wear this necklace. I kissed her forehead and whispered in her ear, after all, this is your final design. Her body visibly stiffened for a moment, but she kept smiling. Of course, I cherish it very much. Tomorrow, the truth will come to light. On the day of the exhibition, the place was packed with people. My painting, Eternity, was displayed in the most prominent spot, right next to the last batch of jewelry designs Mary had created before her death. Mary held my arm, flawlessly playing the role of my wife as always. She had even gone out of her way to wear Mary's favorite white dress and the silver necklace I had given her last night. My mother-in-law and Tom were there too. The three of them exchanged glances from time to time, clearly waiting for the perfect moment. Frank appeared as planned, pretending to be extremely interested in Eternity and asking me about the auction details. The auction will begin promptly at 4 in the afternoon, I replied with a smile. This painting means a great deal to me, and I hope it finds someone who truly appreciates it. Mary immediately chimed in. Yes, although it's hard to part with it, this is a necessary decision for our future. I noticed she glanced at Tom, who gave a barely perceptible nod. At 3:30 in the afternoon, the projector in the center of the exhibition hall lit up. This was the special segment I had arranged. Ladies and gentlemen, I stood in front of Eternity. Before the auction begins, I'd like to share a little story about this painting. Mary's photo appeared on the projection screen, a group picture from her last birthday party before she passed away. 3 years ago, my wife Mary died in an accident. I created this painting, Eternity, in her memory. The woman in the painting has her back to the viewer, forever gazing into the distance, symbolizing a longing I can never reach. A soft sigh rippled through the crowd. Mary stood beside me, matching my words with a sorrowful expression. However, a month ago, a miracle happened. I turned to look at Mary. My wife came back. The whole room erupted in astonishment, and many people curiously sized up Mary. This is my wife, Mary. I took her hand and stepped forward. Back from the dead, it's truly the greatest blessing heaven could have given me. She smiled and nodded to everyone, while my mother-in-law and Tom stood by with smug expressions. However, my tone suddenly shifted. Amidst my joy, a question arose. Is she really Mary? The entire room fell silent. Mary's hand trembled slightly in my palm. So, I did some investigating. The projector switched to a set of comparison photos. On the left was the real Mary. On the right was a photo of her. They look exactly the same, don't they? But I clicked the remote, and the photo was enlarged, the details highlighted. The position of the piercing on the left ear was slightly different, the arch of the eyebrows subtly varied, and the fine lines at the corners of the eyes ran in different directions. These are details that even professional plastic surgery cannot fully replicate. Mary tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tightly. My mother-in-law and Tom also began to grow anxious, glancing toward the exit. More importantly, the real Mary has a feature that cannot be copied. I turned to Mary. The necklace I gave you last night has a date engraved on the back. Can you tell everyone what that date is? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. That was the due date of our first child, the one we lost. I spoke softly, my voice trembling with emotion. Mary designed this necklace to commemorate the baby we never got to meet. The date was our secret, only Mary and I knew. The room fell utterly silent. Mary turned deathly pale, my mother-in-law's eyes widened, and Tom had already started edging toward the door. What surprised me even more, I continued, was that the real Mary could never get pregnant due to an underdeveloped uterus. Yet this, Mary claims she's already 2 months along. I let go of her hand and took a step back. So, who are you really? A flicker of despair flashed in Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. I am Mary, it's just that old Chinese doctor. The non-existent old Chinese doctor, right? I sneered. Just like the non-existent amnesia, the non-existent miraculous recovery. I turned toward the projection screen. Let's see the truth. The screen played the secretly recorded video of her conversation with Tom, their discussion on how to swindle eternity, clearly audible. This isn't. She tried to explain, but my mother-in-law had already rushed forward. Who are you really? My mother-in-law screamed. You're not my daughter? Auntie, stop pretending, I said calmly. You know she's not Mary. You just wanted to get back at me, didn't you? My mother-in-law's face turned pale. I didn't know she was going to impersonate Mary. Tom just said he needed help to scam some money. Police. Don't move. Several plainclothes officers emerged from the crowd, blocking Tom as he tried to escape. Amid the chaos, Mary took the opportunity to shove me aside and run toward the exit. I chased after her and caught up in the parking lot. Tell me, who are you really? She finally stopped, turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes. My name is Luna. I'm an actress. Tom found me and said if I helped trick you out of a painting, he'd give me $1 million. I needed the money for my sister's medical treatment. Why did they choose me? Why Mary? She shook her head. I don't know. They gave me a lot of information, photos, videos, even your chat logs. I was just following the script. The police arrived and took her away. I stood where I was, gazing at the distant sky, my heart a tumult of emotions. Back in the exhibition hall, the crowd had already dispersed, leaving only Frank and a few police officers. It's all been cleared up, Frank walked over. Tom owed money to loan sharks and was desperate. Your mother-in-law always resented you for not saving Mary, so she helped them plan the whole thing. I walked up to eternity, gently caressing the back of the woman in the painting. Mary, I can finally give you an answer. The police left with the evidence. Frank patted me on the shoulder. What do you plan to do next? I took a deep breath. Prepare for the final painting. What will it be called? The Pursuit, I said softly. This time, I'll paint her face, not just her back. After the case was solved, my life seemed to return to where it was 3 years ago. Eternity was temporarily held by the court as crucial evidence. Tom and Luna were arrested for fraud, and my mother-in-law was investigated as an accomplice. The prosecution wants you to testify in court, the officer called to inform me. The trial is scheduled for early next month. I agreed, though I was utterly exhausted inside. After exposing the deception, I thought I would feel the thrill of revenge, but what I felt instead was a profound emptiness. Those days spent with Mary that month had allowed me to feel a trace of warmth in life again, even if that warmth was born of lies. Frank often came to see me, worried I might fall into despair once more. I told him not to worry, that I was working on a new piece, The Pursuit. Are you really going to paint Mary's face from the front? Frank asked curiously. For the past 3 years, you've always refused to do that. It's time, I replied. We can't live in the past forever. I moved out of the apartment I had shared with Mary and returned to the old house in the suburbs, the place where the real Mary and I had first made our home. The dust-laden memories in the house brought me both pain and comfort. Mary's studio remained just as she had left it, design sketches scattered across the table, unfinished jewelry drafts pinned to the drawing board. One afternoon, while sorting through Mary's belongings, I discovered an encrypted external hard drive. After several attempts, I finally unlocked it using our wedding anniversary as the password. Inside were backups of Mary's design works, along with some personal photos and videos. One folder in particular caught my attention. Inside a folder named Plan was a series of jewelry design sketches, labeled George's Birthday Special Project. It was then I remembered that, in the months before Mary passed away, she often spoke mysteriously about giving me an unparalleled birthday surprise. Leafing through these design drafts, I couldn't help but be moved to tears. Mary had planned to design a jewelry collection inspired by my paintings over the years, with each piece corresponding to a representative work from my artistic career. The last page was a sketch of a ring, with a dark red stone set in the center, its edges adorned with tiny diamonds, closely resembling the sunrise in my early work, Dawn. This is blood amber? I examined the notes carefully, confirming the name of this rare gemstone. Mary's designs had always been bold, but blood amber is extremely rare in the Chinese market, almost impossible to acquire. How did she obtain such a material? As I continued searching, I found a series of email correspondence screenshots. Mary had actually contacted a gemstone dealer in Myanmar, commissioning the blood amber specifically for this ring. The last email showed that the gem had already been shipped, but the date was exactly 1 week before Mary's death. I immediately called Frank, Help me check if there was a package sent from Myanmar 3 years ago, addressed to Mary. 2 days later, Frank brought news. The package did exist, but since no one signed for it, it was returned. However, according to the shipping records, it was resent a month ago, this time addressed to you. What? I was completely confused. I haven't received any package. Check your old apartment? Frank suggested. Back at my old apartment, the manager told me there was indeed a package, but it had been signed for by Mary. She said it was a surprise for you, so she didn't notify you, the manager explained. This meant Luna had taken the blood amber. I rushed to the detention center and requested to see Luna. Separated by glass, she looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but still wore that face so similar to Mary's. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. A month ago, you signed for a package from Myanmar. There was a blood amber inside. I want to know where it is. She looked surprised. How did you know? Tom asked me to sign for it. He said it was some precious gem. He took it. My heart sank. Tom was deep in gambling debt. A precious blood amber would be a windfall for him. He had probably sold it long ago. That blood amber is very important to me, I said softly. It was the last gift my wife left me. Luna was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, maybe it's not that bad. Tom said the stone has flaws, its value is greatly reduced, and he hasn't found a suitable buyer yet. Hope was rekindled. If Tom hadn't sold the blood amber yet, maybe there was still a chance to get it back. Do you know where he might hide it? Luna hesitated for a moment. He has a safe deposit box in a self-storage facility on the east side of the city. After getting the address, I immediately contacted the officer in charge of the case and explained the situation. Since Tom was involved in a large sum of money, the police quickly approved the search request. Mr. George, we've found the safe deposit box, the officer said over the phone. Inside, we did find the blood amber you described, as well as some other evidence. A few hours later, I retrieved the blood amber at the police station. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Within the dark red core, wisps of mist seemed to swirl, shifting strangely under the light. This was the birthday gift Mary had so carefully chosen for me, waiting for 3 years. Back home, I carefully placed the blood amber beside the canvas of the pursuit. The painting was already more than half finished, Mary's face emerging from the blur into clarity, yet it still felt like something was missing. Watching the blood amber glimmer faintly under the light, I suddenly understood how I should complete the painting. The creation of the pursuit entered its final stage. I decided to break convention and incorporate the blood amber into the artwork. This would not only be a portrait, but a hybrid piece that fused painting with the art of jewelry. Are you sure you want to do this? Frank frowned. That blood amber is priceless. That's exactly why, I said firmly. Mary chose it for me. She wanted to inspire an unparalleled masterpiece. I will fulfill her wish. For 2 whole weeks, I worked day and night, neglecting sleep and food. I cut the blood amber into thin slices and inlaid them at the spot of Mary's eyes on the canvas, making her gaze truly come alive. I used a special technique to blend the surrounding paint, creating a harmonious transition with the gemstone. From certain angles, the entire painting seemed to be imbued with life, and Mary's expression would shift depending on where the viewer stood. On the day I finished the piece, Frank brought news. Luna had been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but due to her good attitude in confessing, she might serve only 1.5 years. Tom, involved in multiple fraud cases, was sentenced to 7 years. My mother-in-law, as an accomplice, received a suspended sentence. The case is finally over, Frank said. Are you planning to exhibit your painting? Yes. Next month there will be a solo exhibition at the National Art Museum, and The Pursuit will be the grand finale. The curator couldn't stop praising this piece, believing it represents the innovative direction of contemporary art and marks the pinnacle of my career. Indeed, this painting, which incorporates Mary's jewelry design concepts, is in some sense a creation we made together. On the eve of the exhibition, I checked the arrangement in the gallery alone one last time, making sure every piece was perfectly lit and positioned. When I reached The Pursuit, I couldn't help but stop and gaze at it. Mary's face was vividly lifelike, her eyes inlaid with blood amber gleaming under the spotlight, as if she were smiling at me. For the first time in 3 years, I faced her directly, no longer painting only her back. Mr. George, a stranger's voice called from behind. Sorry to disturb you, but the gallery has been cleared. He turned around to see a young woman dressed in the museum's staff uniform. And you are? I'm the new curator, responsible for security in your exhibition area, she explained with a smile. I really like your work, especially this piece, The Pursuit. Thank you. I nodded. I'll be leaving soon. She didn't leave, but continued to gaze at the painting. That red gem is beautiful, almost as if it's alive. It's blood amber, I explained, a very rare gemstone. I know, she said softly, top-grade blood amber from Myanmar, containing plant fossils, extremely rare. I looked at her in surprise. You know a lot about jewelry? She smiled. I studied jewelry design. I'm just working part-time here. For some reason, Mary suddenly came to mind. She, too, had an almost obsessive passion for and expertise in gemstones. If you don't mind me asking, who is the woman in this painting? She asked. My wife, I replied. She passed away 3 years ago. She was a jewelry designer. I'm very sorry, she said sincerely, then gestured toward the blood amber. This gem must mean a great deal to you. It was the last birthday gift she chose for me before she died, but I only found it recently. She nodded thoughtfully. Setting it into her portrait is the best way to remember her. For some reason, talking with this unfamiliar woman brought me a strange sense of calm. Perhaps it was her love for jewelry that reminded me of Mary. Sorry, I have to continue my rounds. She glanced at her watch. See you tomorrow, Mr. George. See you tomorrow, I replied, watching her leave. On the way home, I felt an unusual peace. The completion of The Pursuit seemed to mark the end of my search for Mary as well. Not forgetting, but remembering her forever in another way. The next day, the exhibition's opening ceremony attracted numerous figures from the art world and the media. The Pursuit undoubtedly became the center of attention, with people marveling at this innovative form of artistic expression. Amid the crowd, I noticed that curator standing aside, watching as well. Sunlight streamed through the skylight of the gallery, falling upon her, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw Mary's shadow. No, I shook my head, warning myself not to be deceived by mere resemblance. There would never be another Mary in this world, just as there would never be another unique blood amber. After the exhibition, The Pursuit was purchased by an anonymous collector for an astronomical price. I donated all the proceeds to a foundation supporting students in jewelry design, establishing a scholarship in Mary's name. Life slowly moved forward, and I began to accept new commissions and create new works. Occasionally, I would think of that curator with a unique insight into jewelry, wondering if she was still working at the art museum. Until one day, I received an email from HL. There were no words, only an image. A sketch of a ring design, the style strikingly similar to Mary's unfinished series. My heart raced as I replied immediately. Who is this? The response came quickly. Yesterday, you brushed past me by the cafe on the street corner, but you didn't recognize me. If you want to know more, wait for me at the museum entrance at noon tomorrow. Is it that librarian? How could she have a design so reminiscent of Mary's style? Filled with anxiety and anticipation, I decided to accept the invitation and find out for myself. The next day at noon, I arrived at the art museum half an hour early. The sun was shining, and small groups of visitors were coming and going from the exhibition hall. But there was no sign of the mysterious person. Just as I began to suspect this might be some kind of prank, a faint trace of perfume drifted by, a scent unfamiliar to me, yet it inexplicably reminded me of Mary. Mr. George, thank you for coming. The voice behind me made me turn around. It was the curator. Today, she wasn't wearing her uniform, but a simple white dress, completely different from Mary's style when she was alive. Did you send the email? I asked directly. She nodded. There are some things I want to tell you, but not here. Will you come with me? We walked through the small park beside the art museum and arrived at a secluded cafe. The whole time, I kept observing her. Her mannerisms, the way she walked, none of it resembled Mary. Yet her sensitivity to detail and her focused attention gave me a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you, really? The moment we sat down, I couldn't wait to ask. My name is Nicole. She looked me straight in the eye. I'm Mary's student. This answer caught me off guard. Mary had indeed taught jewelry design part-time at the Design Academy before she passed away, but she had never mentioned having any particularly close students. I took her advanced design class the year before she passed, Nicole explained. Her guidance benefited me for a lifetime. That still doesn't explain why your designs resemble her style so much, I said, half convinced. Nicole took a folder out of her bag. These are all notes from Ms. Nicole's class and her feedback on my work. You can look at the handwriting and confirm that it's really hers. I carefully examined the materials. It was indeed Mary's handwriting. There were even traces of the pale purple ink she habitually used. Before Ms. Nicole passed away, she was guiding me on my graduation project, Nicole continued. The theme was interwoven light and shadow, blending Eastern and Western aesthetic elements. She gave me a lot of valuable advice and even showed me a sketch from a private project she was working on at the time. George's special birthday project? I blurted out. Nicole's eyes widened in surprise. You know about it? I only found out recently. I briefly explained the origin of the blood amber. I knew that blood amber would eventually find its way back to you, Nicole said with a smile. Nicole always said it was a destined gift. Is that why you contacted me? Because you saw the blood amber? Nicole was silent for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. Not entirely. After Nicole passed away, I've been trying to carry on the design philosophy she taught me. Some time ago, I happened to see the news about your eternity being stolen, and then I saw someone impersonating Nicole. I thought I should tell you a few things. She took a letter out of her bag. This is the last letter Nicole gave me after class before she passed away. She said if her surprise plan went smoothly, I should show you this letter. If anything went wrong and she was gone, I should still make sure you see it. I took the envelope. It was indeed Mary's handwriting, and it read, "To my dearest husband." The envelope had already been opened. I didn't know what was in the letter at the time. I just kept it as Nicole instructed, Nicole explained. It wasn't until I saw the news that I opened it. I hope you won't blame me. I carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it to read. Dear George, if you are reading this letter, perhaps my surprise plan has gone awry. Don't worry, it's just that the plan has changed, and the form of the gift may be different now. The blood amber I picked for you is said to be known as the Eye of Rebirth. Legend has it that looking at the world through it reveals truths that are often overlooked. I hope it can become a turning point in your artistic career, leading you to see new possibilities. All these years, your paintings have always depicted backs, as if you're afraid to face something head-on. I hope this gemstone will give you the courage to paint the front, to capture true emotions. No matter what happens, please remember, love does not disappear, it merely changes form, like this blood amber, which, after millions of years, transforms from resin into a gem, yet still shines. Forever loving you, Mary. The handwriting became a bit messy at the end, as if written in a hurry. I stroked the paper, as if I could feel Mary's emotions at that moment. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. This means a lot to me. You're welcome. I'm just fulfilling Ms. Nicole's request, Nicole said with a smile. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to ask your help with. What is it? I'd like to apply for the Mary Scholarship you established, she said, taking a design portfolio out of her bag. This is my graduation project, combining Ms. Nicole's ideas with my own innovations. As I flipped through the portfolio, I was surprised to find that while these designs bore traces of Mary's influence, they also possessed a unique style and innovative touches. In particular, a series called Metamorphosis cleverly combined jewelry with transformable elements, allowing the pieces to change form according to the wearer's mood and occasion. This is outstanding, I praised sincerely. Mary would be proud of you. A hint of joy flashed in Nicole's eyes. Really? I've always worried I couldn't live up to her expectations. You've already moved beyond the learning stage and developed your own style. That's exactly what she hoped to see. As we talked, sunlight streamed through the window and fell on Nicole. In that moment, I seemed to understand something. When Mary spoke of love changing its form, perhaps she wasn't just referring to the blood amber, but also to her passion for art and its legacy. Luna tried to impersonate Mary by mimicking her appearance, but she could never truly replicate who she was. Nicole, on the other hand, looked nothing like Mary, yet she inherited a part of her artistic vision and spirit. Perhaps this is the true gift Mary left me, not the blood amber, but a new possibility, a path out of the past. Nicole's graduation exhibition was held in a small gallery. Though the space was modest, it was exquisitely arranged. Her works were divided into 3 series, representing the past, the present, and the future, forming a complete narrative. This is a brilliant idea, I sincerely praised. From tradition to contemporary and then to the future, it showcases the evolution and possibilities of jewelry design. Nicole smiled and nodded. This was inspired by teacher Nicole. She always says that good design should look back at history, be grounded in the present, and look forward to the future. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I noticed a special display case in the corner, containing only one piece, a seemingly simple ring with a small red gemstone set in the center. This is. I leaned in to read the label, which said, "In memory, dedicated to Teacher Mary." Yes, I made it from a small piece of blood amber I bought with my own savings, Nicole explained. It can't compare to the quality of yours, but it's also from Myanmar. I examined the design of the ring closely. Clean, powerful lines with fine silver threads encircling the blood amber, as if protecting the central gem, yet also seeming to radiate light outward. This is very similar to Mary's final design style, I said softly, but it also has your own unique touch. I wanted to create a piece that could both commemorate Teacher Nicole and showcase my own style, Nicole explained. The blood amber represents her influence, while the outer design is the direction of my own development. The exhibition attracted quite a few industry insiders, including some well-known figures from the jewelry design world. After viewing the exhibition, an older female designer approached Nicole and offered her an internship opportunity. I stood by, genuinely happy for Nicole. In the evening, as the exhibition was drawing to a close, Frank arrived as well. Seeing me with Nicole, he gave me a knowing smile. "New friend?" he asked me quietly. "Mary's student," I explained simply. "Very talented." Frank nodded without asking further questions. After touring the exhibition, he gave high praise to Nicole's work. It blends traditional and modern elements, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression, quite rare. Nicole thanked him politely. This wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of Teacher Nicole and Teacher George. After the exhibition, the three of us went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Frank talked about recent trends in the art market, while Nicole shared her insights on contemporary jewelry design. The conversation was light and pleasant, and I realized it had been a long time since I had relaxed and chatted with others like this. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank received an urgent call and left early. Only Nicole and I remained in the restaurant, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit quiet. "Mr. George," Nicole hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I've always had a question I wanted to ask you." "What is it?" "After you finished the pursuit, what are you planning to create next?" The question caught me off guard. To be honest, ever since the pursuit, I haven't had any new inspiration. That painting seemed to have drained all my emotions and creativity. "I haven't decided yet," I answered honestly. "It might take some time to find a new direction." Nicole nodded thoughtfully. Nicole once said that the hardest thing for an artist isn't creating a stunning masterpiece, but finding a way forward after reaching the peak. She really did say that, I recalled with a smile. Mary always saw further than I did. "Maybe," Nicole said softly, "you could try a new direction that combines your work with jewelry design? Like in The Pursuit, but taking it even further." I recalled what Mary mentioned in her letter about seeing new possibilities, and suddenly I was inspired. "You mean creating a series of works that combine painting and jewelry?" "Exactly," Nicole said excitedly. "Your paintings create emotion in two-dimensional space, while jewelry gives it tangible form in the three-dimensional world. The combination of the two would have an astonishing effect." The more we talked, the more engaged we became, even sketching a few concept designs on the restaurant's napkins. Nicole's ideas were fresh and bold, perfectly aligning with my artistic vision, yet bringing a new perspective. As we left the restaurant, Nicole suddenly said, "I have to confess something." I looked at her in confusion. "I reached out to you not only to deliver Nicole's letter, but also for a personal reason. I hope to learn from you," she said candidly. "I want to become a designer like Nicole, someone who not only creates beautiful works but also perfectly blends art with emotion." Her sincerity moved me. "You're already on that path, and you're doing very well." "Then, may I consult you often?" she asked a little nervously. Of course, I'd be delighted. On the way home, a series of new works already began to take shape in my mind. A cross-disciplinary art that fuses painting and jewelry, both as a tribute to Mary and as a new starting point in my artistic career. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, Mary stood in a halo of blood-red light, smiling at me and saying, "See, I knew you would find a new direction." When I woke up, I got out of bed immediately and began sketching for the new series. I decided to name it Rebirth. not only representing the ancient life forever preserved in blood amber, but also symbolizing the rebirth of my artistic career, as well as the inheritance and development of Mary's artistic vision. A week later, I submitted a new series proposal to the gallery and received an enthusiastic response. The curator even suggested holding a special exhibition themed Between Dimensions, a dialogue between painting and jewelry. For this project, I invited Nicole to join the team as a jewelry design consultant. She had just graduated from design school and was both excited and nervous about the opportunity. "Am I really up to the task?" she asked me in the studio. "You understand Mary's design philosophy better than anyone," I assured her. "That's exactly what I need." In the days that followed, we worked at a feverish pace. We created during the day and discussed at night, sometimes even working through until dawn. Nicole's ideas flowed endlessly, and I transformed those thoughts into concrete artistic expressions. In the process, I rediscovered the pure joy of creation that I hadn't felt in a long time. One late night, when we finally finished the design for our first piece, Nicole clapped her hands excitedly. "This is amazing. Teacher Nicole will definitely love it." At the mention of Mary, she suddenly realized her slip and looked at me nervously. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's all right," I said with a smile. "I think Mary really would like it." She always hoped I could step out of my comfort zone and try new ways of expressing myself. Nicole let out a sigh of relief, then hesitantly asked, "Professor George, may I ask you a personal question?" "What is it?" "When you faced the woman impersonating Professor Nicole, how did you see through her? I mean, from the news reports, she seemed like an exact copy of Professor Nicole." I pondered for a moment. Superficial resemblance is easy to achieve, but a true personality cannot be duplicated. Mary's perception of art, her attitude toward life, the way she handled details, these were all unique. Just like a work of art, Nicole mused, no matter how perfect a replica is, it can never capture the soul of the original. Exactly. We worked through the night again, and finally established the overall framework for the Rebirth series. 7 pieces, each blending elements of painting and jewelry, together telling a story of loss and recovery, death and rebirth. As our collaboration deepened, my relationship with Nicole gradually shifted from teacher and student to partners, both mentor and friend. Sometimes, when the light traced the gentle contours of her focused profile, I would unconsciously think of Mary. But soon, I realized that this association wasn't due to any physical resemblance, but rather that same dedication and passion for art. "George, you look much more spirited lately," Frank remarked at a gathering. "It's been a while since I've seen you so full of life." "Yeah, the new project has helped me rediscover the joy of creating." "Nicole's a good girl," Frank said meaningfully. "Talented, and she really understands you." I understood his implication, but just smiled without responding. There was indeed a special understanding between Nicole and me, but it was more rooted in our shared passion for art than anything else. At least for now. The creation of the Rebirth series took 3 months, longer than expected, but the results were stunning. Each piece was a perfect fusion of painting and jewelry art, offering both the pleasure of viewing as a flat image and the discovery of 3-dimensional effects brought by the jewelry elements from different angles. A week before the exhibition opened, I received an unexpected visitor, Luna. She had served her sentence and was released early. She looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but her eyes were clearer. "I came to apologize to you in person." She stood at the studio door, her voice low, "for everything I have done." I didn't respond immediately, but simply invited her in to sit down. "I know that an apology can't make up for the loss," she continued, "but I want you to know that I truly regret it." "How is your sister's illness?" I asked. She looked up in surprise. You know. I guessed. "You said you needed money for a reason, and I think that must have been true." "Yes," she nodded. "My sister's surgery was a success, and now she's fully recovered. For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about how to make up for my mistakes, even though I may never be able to." I was silent for a moment, then said, "In a way, your appearance actually helped me." "What do you mean?" "It forced me to confront the past, to re-examine my memories with Mary, and ultimately to find a way forward." I pointed to the sketches of the Rebirth series on the wall and briefly explained this new project. Luna listened quietly, a look of genuine respect in her eyes. I'm glad you were able to find a new beginning from that nightmare, she said at last. I hope I can find my own path to rebirth as well. As she left, she handed me a small package. These are some simple pieces of jewelry I made in prison. The craftsmanship is rough, but each one represents my remorse and blessings. I hope you can accept them. Opening the package, I found several small trinkets handmade from fine wire and colorful glass beads. Though simple, it was clear the creator had poured their heart into them. Nicole happened to come into the studio at that moment. Seeing the trinkets, she asked curiously, "What are these?" I told her about Luna's visit. "You forgave her?" Nicole was a bit surprised. "Not exactly forgiveness," I said thoughtfully. "It's more like understanding. Everyone has their own hardships and choices. What's important is how we learn and grow from our mistakes." Nicole nodded pensively, picking up a piece of jewelry to examine it closely. The craftsmanship is rough, but the concept is ingenious. This person seems to have a talent for design. "Perhaps," I said, "everyone has the possibility of being reborn." On the day of the exhibition opening, numerous figures from the art and jewelry worlds gathered together. The Rebirth series received unprecedented acclaim. Critics called it a model of cross-disciplinary art, and the gallery owner was overjoyed, announcing plans for a nationwide tour. In the crowd, I saw Luna. She was dressed simply, standing quietly in a corner, admiring the exhibits. Our eyes met in the air. She nodded slightly, then walked away. "Who was that?" Nicole asked, standing beside me. "Someone searching for rebirth," I replied. Nicole seemed to understand and asked no more. We stood side by side before the pursuit, watching the blood amber refract a strange light under the lamps, like the silent burning of life's flame. "Thank you," I whispered to Nicole. "Without you, this series might never have come into being." "It was your philosophy that guided us, teacher Nicole," she replied modestly. "I was just fortunate enough to be the messenger." In that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning of what Mary had written in her letter. Love has changed its form. Love exists not only in memory and longing, but also in inheritance and innovation, shining brightly in every spark of artistic creation. And I, at last, had learned how to begin anew after loss, to embrace rebirth while still searching. The success of the exhibition exceeded everyone's expectations. In just 1 month, the Rebirth series was reported on by major media outlets and even attracted the attention of the international art world. A renowned auction house extended an olive branch to me, hoping to include several pieces in their annual highlight auction. "This is an unprecedented opportunity," Frank said excitedly. "If the deal goes through, you'll become a top player in the contemporary art market." I wasn't particularly concerned with commercial success, but I did feel the joy of having my work widely recognized. More importantly, this series opened up a new artistic path for me, freeing me from the creative shackles of the past 3 years. Nicole benefited as well. As the project's jewelry design consultant, she received high praise from the industry. Several well-known jewelry brands reached out to her, hoping she would join their design teams. "Which offer are you planning to accept?" One night, as we were tidying up the studio together, I asked her. "To be honest, I'm still hesitating." Nicole paused her work. "These are all great opportunities, but..." "But what?" "But I want to keep working with you." She looked straight into my eyes. "Rebirth is just the beginning, isn't it?" Her candor surprised me a little. Indeed, the success of this series had opened up many new creative possibilities for us, but I wasn't sure if I should continue such a close working relationship. "You should consider your own career development," I said tactfully. "These opportunities are very rare for young designers." Nicole seemed to sense my hesitation and nodded gently. "I understand." In the days that followed, we were both busy and rarely had the chance to talk alone. A week later, Nicole told me she had decided to accept an invitation from a French jewelry brand and would be going to Paris to work for 2 years. "Congratulations," I said sincerely. "It's a very good choice." "Thank you," she replied with a smile, though a fleeting, elusive emotion flashed in her eyes. "I think this is the best arrangement for both of us." Before Nicole left, we held a small farewell party. Frank, the curator, and a few mutual friends came. The atmosphere was warm, tinged with a hint of sadness. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank found an opportunity to pull me aside. "Are you really going to just let her go like this?" "What do you mean?" I pretended not to understand. "Don't play dumb, man," Frank said bluntly. You have feelings for her. That's obvious. That's just professional rapport, I argued. Is that so? Frank looked at me meaningfully. Then why have you been so distracted ever since she decided to go to France? I was at a loss for words. In fact, these past few days I had indeed felt an inexplicable sense of loss, but I kept telling myself it was only because I had lost an excellent partner. I know what you're worried about. Frank lowered his voice. You feel like you're letting Mary down, don't you? I remained silent. He had touched upon the deepest concern in my heart. Mary has been gone for 3 years now. Frank gently patted my shoulder. She would want you to be happy. After the party ended, I walked Nicole home. The night was tranquil as water, and the city lights flowed around us. Thank you for your help and guidance these past few months. Nicole stopped at the entrance of her apartment building. This experience has meant so much to me. I should be thanking you, I said sincerely. Without you, the Rebirth series would never have been completed. We fell into silence, as if both searching for the right words to say goodbye. My flight is the morning after tomorrow, Nicole finally said. I still have some things to take care of tomorrow. So, this is probably the last time we'll see each other. 2 years will pass quickly. I tried to make my voice sound light. Paris is a beautiful city. You'll like it there. She nodded, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. Professor George, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but never found the right opportunity. What is it? I chose to study jewelry design because I saw Nicole's works. She took a deep breath, or more precisely, because I saw the pieces Nicole designed for you. The way she perfectly fused love and art moved me deeply. I didn't know that, I said in surprise. I've always hoped that one day I could be like Nicole, creating art filled with emotion. Nicole continued, her words coming faster, as if afraid she might lose her courage. But now I realize that what I want even more is to create for a specific person, just like Nicole created for you. I understood her implication, and my heart suddenly began to race. Nicole, please don't respond, she gently interrupted me. I just wanted you to know before I leave. No matter how you feel right now, remember that starting over is not a betrayal of the past, but a way of cherishing life. With that, she rose up on her tiptoes and softly kissed my cheek, then quickly turned and walked into the apartment building, leaving me standing alone in the night, my mind in turmoil. After returning home, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying Nicole's words and that gentle kiss over and over in my mind. Suddenly, I remembered a small box in the study, where Mary's last complete letter was kept, a letter I had found while sorting through her belongings. But at the time, overwhelmed by grief, I never had the courage to open. Now, I finally mustered the courage to walk into the study and retrieve that delicate little box from the depths of the drawer. Inside lay a pale pink letter, bearing Mary's familiar handwriting. Dearest George, by the time you read this letter, you may find yourself at a crossroads in life, hesitating between moving forward or staying where you are. My greatest wish is that you can move bravely through life, as freely as your brush glides across the canvas. Love is not a shackle, but a liberation. Memory is not a burden, but a source of strength. If one day you meet someone who can rekindle the light in your eyes, please don't hesitate because of your longing for me. True love is wishing happiness for the other, even if there is no longer a place for oneself in that happiness. Remember, the days we loved each other were complete, with no need for regrets. And now, it's time to paint a new picture, my beloved. Forever loving you. Mary. Tears blurred my vision. It was as if Mary had foreseen my current situation and had already given me her blessing. She was always like this, always able to see further and more clearly than I could. At that moment, I made up my mind. Early the next morning, I drove straight to Nicole's apartment. Professor George? Nicole opened the door in surprise, clearly not expecting me. I have something to say to you. I looked her straight in the eyes, not as your teacher, but as George. I handed her Mary's letter. Nicole read it carefully, her expression shifting from surprise to being moved, and finally, her eyes grew moist. She truly was an extraordinary woman, Nicole said softly, handing the letter back to me. Yes, she was, I nodded. That's exactly why I believe her words. Nicole, cancel your plans for Paris. Stay and continue our collaboration, will you? Nicole looked at me in shock. Are you serious? I've never been more serious, I said quietly. Rebirth is not just the name of an artwork, it's a possibility in life. Are you willing to explore that possibility with me? Her answer was a firm embrace, warm and real, like the first ray of sunlight after a long winter. In that moment, I felt as if Mary was somewhere, smiling down on us, blessing this new beginning. Life is like that blood amber, enduring countless ages of change and sedimentation, ultimately transforming into an eternal radiance. And I, at last, understood what true pursuit is, what true rebirth means. A year later, Nicole and I unveiled our second joint project, Interwoven, at the National Art Museum. This series was even bolder and more innovative than Rebirth, blending Eastern and Western aesthetics with various art forms. Critics hailed it as a significant breakthrough in contemporary art. At the opening ceremony, Nicole held my arm as we faced the media interviews and congratulations from the audience together. She wore a simple white dress, and around her neck was the Eye of Rebirth necklace we designed together. She completed the jewelry part based on my painting. "Your collaboration seems even more in sync than your last project," a reporter asked with a suggestive smile. Nicole glanced at me, and we exchanged a smile. Yes, both in art and in life, we found the perfect balance. This indirect answer drew a round of good-natured laughter from the reporters present. My relationship with Nicole was no longer a secret, but we always kept a low profile, letting the public's attention remain focused on our artistic creations. After the exhibition, we drove out to a small hill in the countryside. There stood an ancient oak tree, beneath which Mary's ashes were laid to rest. This was the place we chose, rather than a traditional cemetery, natural, peaceful, just like Mary herself. "Mary, the exhibition was a great success today," I said softly to the stone beneath the tree. "Nicole's designs were admired by everyone, just as you once predicted." Nicole crouched down and placed a bouquet of white daisies in front of the stone. "Teacher Nicole, I've been working hard to become the kind of designer you hoped I would be. I hope you can be proud of me." A gentle breeze stirred, and the oak's leaves rustled softly, as if it were Mary's reply. On the way back, Nicole suddenly said, "I've been thinking about something." "What is it?" "If that woman who pretended to be Ms. Nicole hadn't appeared, you might never have found the blood amber, never created the pursuit, and we might never have met." Her words made me fall into deep thought. Indeed, it was the series of events triggered by that deception that ultimately led to everything now. It feels as if, in the unseen, some force has been orchestrating it all. "Perhaps that's the irony of fate," I said softly. "Sometimes, the worst beginnings can lead us to the best endings." When I returned home, I received an unexpected package. Upon opening it, I found a delicate little box containing a handmade ring. Though simple, the craftsmanship had improved greatly compared to the pieces I had seen before. There was a note attached. "Mr. George, thank you for your kindness and understanding a year ago, which gave me the courage to start over. Now I have found a job at a small jewelry shop, and my life is gradually getting back on track. This ring represents my gratitude, and I wish you happiness and well-being on your new path." "Luna," I handed the ring to Nicole. After examining it carefully, she remarked, "Her skills have improved a lot. She truly is talent." "Some mistakes in life shouldn't become permanent scars," I sighed. "Everyone deserves a second chance." That night, we sat in the studio, discussing ideas for the next series. Nicole suddenly proposed a bold idea. I was thinking, maybe we could try connecting the different stages of our work to create a complete narrative. From eternity to quest, then to rebirth, and intertwined, they're actually different phases in a person's life journey. "You mean?" "A complete story about loss, searching, rebirth, and integration," she explained excitedly, ultimately asking what is the most precious treasure in life. "Love." I finished her sentence. "No matter what form it takes." Nicole nodded, her eyes sparkling with creative fire. "We could call it the forms of love, an unprecedented artistic exploration." Sounds like a long-term, ambitious project. "We have time," she smiled, holding my hand. "We have so much time." In that moment, I felt a powerful surge of creative inspiration, just like when I first began my artistic career years ago, filled with passion and possibility. But this time, I was not facing the blank canvas alone. 2 years later, the Forms of Love series was exhibited simultaneously in the world's 5 greatest art museums, causing an unprecedented sensation. Critics called it a milestone in contemporary art history, blending painting, sculpture, jewelry design, and other art forms to create an entirely new artistic language. The final piece of the exhibition was titled Eternal Ring, a massive circular canvas depicting every form of love in life, familial, platonic, romantic, and the love for art itself. The edge of the canvas was inlaid with gemstones of various sizes, and under certain lighting, these gems would cast light onto specific parts of the canvas, revealing another hidden layer of patterns. The centerpiece of this work is a massive blood amber. Through intricate optical design, the light it projects perfectly outlines two embracing figures. One is Mary, the other is Nicole, symbolizing the intersection of past and present, the fusion of memory and rebirth. On the closing day of the exhibition, in front of the eternal ring, I knelt on one knee and proposed to Nicole. The ring was crafted from the very blood amber Mary had once prepared for me, designed by my own hand and fashioned by the finest jeweler. This ring carries the memories of the past and the hopes for the future, I whispered softly. Nicole, will you be the eternal ring in my life? Her tears sparkled under the spotlight. I will. Amidst the cheers, I remembered what Mary once said. Love does not disappear. It merely changes its form. Yes, love does not disappear. It exists in memories, in art, in every rebirth and new beginning. It traverses time and crosses space, like that blood amber which, after millions of years, still shines, forever retaining the original warmth and brilliance of life. This is the answer I have been searching for all along. Between loss and gain, between seeking and rebirth, love remains constant, only appearing in different forms along the journey of life. And all we need to do is bravely accept this gift, no matter how it comes to us. On the day of the wedding, the sky was a clear, washed blue. Beneath the ancient oak tree that had watched over Mary, we exchanged our vows. A gentle breeze stirred, making the leaves whisper as if blessings were drifting in from another world. No matter when or where, Nicole said softly, we'll always remember that it was she who brought us together. Yes, I squeezed her hand, and we will always cherish this gift. In the brilliant sunlight, the blood amber ring gleamed, radiant as life itself, enduring the passage of time, yet still shining bright.